To save his life, he quickly hid in the women's restroom, but just as he was about to climb out the window, he discovered that the window had been welded shut with rebar. In that critical moment, he had no choice but to smash the mirror and press the shards against the handrail to carefully check the situation outside. Seeing that the enemy's attention was focused ahead, Ben bolted for the stairs in an instant and pulled off a perfect diversion tactic.
I saw him! I saw Ben Richards! He's heading downstairs!
Meanwhile, Ben quickly ran up to the roof, seeing that the enemies outside had already surrounded the area. Ben realized he couldn't stay there long, so he decided to go back to his hotel room to grab his bag. First, he threw a cable down the wall, then used his feet to slowly slide down, but when he finally made it back to his room, he found that the window couldn't be opened from the outside, so he wrapped a towel around his hand and smashed it with all his might. But the sound of shattering glass alerted the enemies. To save his life, Ben rushed back into the room as fast as he could. First, he quickly got dressed, then grabbed all his supplies. The moment the enemies broke down the door, Ben took a running start and leaped out the window. This move earned applause from the enemy leader, who had no idea he'd underestimated this man's abilities. Ben pushed off with both legs and swung on a rope into another room, but his every move was being broadcast live by a drone. It turned out Ben was participating in a live-stream survival game. If he could survive for 30 days, he would win a $1 billion prize to pay for his terminally ill daughter's medical treatment. Ben, with his back against the wall, had no choice but to go all in, watching the drone relentlessly chase him. Ben could take it no longer. As the leader of the hunters slowly approached, Ben had no choice but to throw a grenade. Little did he know it was a delayed action grenade. Taking advantage of the explosion, Ben managed to escape into the basement. He intended to light the basement by setting fire to some magazines, but unexpectedly, it sparked a massive blaze. Just as his enemies were about to break down the door, Ben suddenly spotted a nest of fleeing rats scurrying into the sewer, so he stepped forward to lift the manhole cover and kindly warned the rats to run. Yet it was precisely because of this that Ben managed to evade the manhunt. He then began recording a video to submit to the show. After Ben escaped from the sewer, he encountered a young boy on the side of the road. To his surprise, the boy turned out to be a fan of his. In the end, the boy kindly offered to take him home. After getting to know each other, Ben learned that the boy's older brother was also a fan. He had been studying this reality show closely. According to his analysis, this hunting game was a dead end from the start, because no one could survive for 30 days. There were people everywhere reporting the fugitives' locations, but if the target's ratings were high, the production team would intentionally go easy on them, until they'd squeezed every last drop of value out of them, only to then go after the fugitives. However, precisely because Ben had evaded the hunt this time, the show's ratings hit a new high. So next, the production team would certainly ramp up the difficulty. To be on the safe side, the two brothers moved Ben to another city. By this point, he had been on the run for 10 days. In this city, Ben disguised himself as a blind man, hiding every day while submitting his video tasks. But even so, after just a few days, he was spotted by a sanitation worker. Once his location was reported by the sanitation worker, the hunters quickly closed in. To save his life, Ben had no choice but to flee for his life. In the end, he jumped onto a moving train, narrowly escaping with his life. Ben had to get away from crowded areas, so he had no choice but to hide at the brothers' house. Bradley said they had deployed high-tech search equipment, so his only option was to go underground. That was the only way to effectively evade the hunt. Bradley mentioned that his father had previously discovered a World War II-era bunker. If Ben could hide inside, he could survive for several weeks. Bradley could help Ben upload daily videos, so all he needed to do was record them in advance. But just as Ben let out a sigh of relief, Bradley's mother recognized him. Without hesitation, she pressed the alarm button. In less than 3 minutes, an armed squad had surrounded the house.